Okay guys, so the title of this post that has been shared to me a lot in the past few days is How to Hide a Promiscuous Past from Your New Man. There are a lot of websites, including Quora, Reddit, and others, where women report that men are leaving them after learning that they have a high notch count, or body count, as they prefer to refer to it these days. But this article, which was published at the end of February, has the subtitle, Sometimes his sex is so slamming you can't risk scaring him off, here's what you gotta do. In order to come down to telling tales about only 2 or 3 men in total, before I read these other things, you could promote a couple of bonks to an old boyfriend status, or something along those lines. I discussed how women typically decide whether to have children in one of the chapters of my book. One part of it is intentional and one part of it is unintentional. It's intentional in the sense that women don't want to be slut-shamed. They don't want to be made to feel bad for the decisions that they've made in the past. They don't want to be held accountable. Guys, if they volunteer the information or if the topic of conversation arises, you need to understand that you can't rely on what they say. It's always the only men who don't care about a woman's history of promiscuity are typically new age progressive liberal left-leaning sort of beta males, who are just like, oh, it doesn't matter, why is it your business? Like those are the sort of lyrics you have. But your typical high-value guy who is unplugged understands that she cares about his future, and he needs to care about her past. Let's move on to number 5, pretend past lovers were. You're the best at truth or dare with a little help from a baby. When you're being creative with the truth, play with your man's emotions by hinting or even saying outright that many of these past partners entertained you and that you're sorry they abused you, all right. I'm sure this is when it has been employed previously. You already knew to delete any proof of past promiscuity from your social media accounts, so I guess that makes sense. These girls have terminology that are even confusing to half of today's population. Blaming it on an ex hacking and vandalizing your accounts after a bad breakup is a good old trusty, but you can really cook with your creative juices here. The more elaborate and pre-planned the story, the harder it will be to crack your new dude's proddling. But I bet you didn't know you should also create plausible cover stories for missing information or blocks of time. They've done that too, I've also confirmed. Have fun, but most importantly, have an answer for every question. This is a serious article. Number 8. Finally, always let trusted friends in on the plot. Wow, let's build a whole house of cards of lies, they say. One more thing. Make sure your friends are briefed if you don't want to be in a social situation where women always have each other's backs at the expense of guys at all times. It's far more common than you might expect, thus she's recommended here because it's really prevalent. Dragging your pals into the huge lie. You don't want to be in a circumstance where one of them jokingly remarks, "Oh God, this is the entire foam cannon party in Ibiza, from when we were in Ibiza, and you did it with 3 men." If any of you have been to Ibiza, you may be aware of the fact that the article discusses promiscuity, and then includes a call to action to get an STD test at the bottom using a coupon code. I'm just going to use this for the video's thumbnail, but the picture over here is extremely humorous. It features a blonde female moving in this manner, while every other image features a man. In this case, they're all black men, so that's how they disguise their previous acts of prostitution. Hello, I hope this isn't the wrong place to ask for advice, but when I pulled this up, I just wanted to go to one of these other articles, because when I pulled this up, here's a Reddit article, and it says, should I, and what I'll do is I'll link both of these below. It says, should I hide my promiscuous past when I'm in a new relationship? This isn't any sex subreddit. I'm a 23-year-old female with a higher than average number of previous sexual partners, and being open and honest about this caused me a lot of trouble. Shockingly, I first got in trouble at work for it after I told one of my coworkers about it. She made a big deal out of it in the news spread over the office behind my back. It was really embarrassing to the point that I thought, if it's embarrassing, then why are you doing it, ladies? If they don't usually take it easy either, shockingly. The boyfriends don't like the information about the notch count in my last few relationships has become how many relationships has this chick had. She's 23. It's like sequential boyfriends, or maybe simultaneous at the same time. She runs a bunch of plates or a trained whatever but they don't usually take it easy either. It has started to be a problem because if I tell them that I've been sexually active since I was 13 and they question, they become upset. Whoa, man, generally speaking, the younger a woman is, the more sexual partners she has, so here she is stating 13, so I'll have to do a comprehensive movie on this, because there are many studies and I have some graphic references. I may do it on Unplugged Alpha. So a 20-year-old who loses their virginity at 20 versus a 13-year-old. Greater prevalence of mental illnesses, abortions, single motherhood, unhappy marriage, divorce. Promiscuity is typically linked to the gauntlet of things that could potentially ruin a woman, according to how things proceed. Since I'm a typical butterface, which means that everything is hot, but her face generally, and kind of a reserved bookworm. It even takes them by surprise. Should I keep it a secret then? Should I just lie and tell them a lower or more average number should it keep? Anyway, I was 13 and I had lots of partners since then, but they never took it as positively shocking again, right? Wow, this is funny. But I'm not even going to read the comments because, well, it's getting pretty disgusting. And that's the state of the world right now, fellas. Anyway, I'm going to end this lesson on this point. Women care about a man's financial security and his capacity to provide. I've often said that women wait at the finish line and pick the winners, so women have a say in the matter. I have details on that in my book, which I know those of you who have read already know that if you don't have the book, it's pinned below. There are lots of good resources in that content, and I will definitely do a longer form video on this. Women's past. Women are looking at your future. Men need to look at her past, especially if you're going to consider her for anything long-term girlfriend material, mother of your kids. Any woman who has a very high notch count is a very poor choice.